Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I really appreciate y'all watching. Make sure and like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. But what I want to talk about today is we're going to go over our Firearms 101 segment a little bit further, and I want to talk about one gun, right? What gun should you get first? And that's kind of a really important decision to make because it can be a little bit hard. You're going to go to the gun store counter and they're going to tell you to go buy a Remington 870 shotgun, or you'll talk to a friend of yours that was in the military and he'll tell you to get an M4, or I should say an AR-15. We get this question quite often. This comes up in a lot of our classes, especially our beginner level classes where they're using loaner pistols and loaner guns and that sort of thing. And so they're really trying to dive in and figure out, what the hell do I need to actually be capable of dealing with the situation? So we're going to dive into this question a little bit and go over some of the nuances in here. So stay with me. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you one gun that I think fits the bill for most people for their very first firearm. The questions that we have to ask first, why do you need a gun? If your idea is, well, I really want to go hunting, and so what gun should I get? Well, that's obviously a lot different answer than if you're talking about self-defense. This is a tactics-oriented channel. We're self-defense oriented. We're professional trainers, and we work with professional people that use their guns in a professional setting. So keep that in mind when I say when we talk through this, is that's what we're talking about. Most people that come out and get a class from us are looking for a self-defense firearm. So what gun do I think that they should get first? Like I said, you'll go to a gun store and they'll oftentimes say, well, you need a Remington 870 or a Mossberg 500 to defend your house with, right? Because they'll hear the pumping of the round and all this different bullshit. And the shotgun has so much knockdown power that it'll shoot a hole through them and send them away in a blaze of fire straight to hell, right? Okay, so all that not being true. They'll also tell you to just point and click down the hallway, which is horrible, horrible advice. So here's the thing. Shotguns, all guns require training. Shotguns and rifles and long rifles require a substantial amount of training, right? I have cleared a lot of houses in teams as individuals with long guns. It is hard to do effectively. And so I don't advocate most people using a Remington 870 or a Beretta 1301 or whatever it is for home defense. Do I personally use one for home defense? Absolutely. That's because I have a hell of a lot of training on it. And I don't think it's that ideal for most young shooters, most people that are starting to get into it. The same reason that I don't think newer shooters should have a safety on their firearm. And you say, whoa, everybody's gonna go fucking crazy over that advice. And they're gonna say newer shooters absolutely need a safety on their firearm. I'm gonna give you a counterpoint here. First off, where do most negligent discharges happen? Well, they happen from more experienced shooters because you get complacent with your firearm. Newer shooters, we actually don't have that big of an issue with. They break all the safety rules. They'll flag people. They muzzle down the line. They have their finger on the trigger all the time, right? They break a lot of the safety rules, and that's why we set up a nice, safe environment for them to do that in. So that way, if they break 2 or 3 of those safety rules, we don't kill anybody or hurt anyone. But as a general rule, they struggle to remember to operate the safety. Safeties take training, and training comes with time. So you have to be a more experienced shooter actually to use an external safety than you do a gun without a safety. So it's actually the inverse of what a lot of people would think. So we would actually make the argument that safety should not be on those guns for newer shooters, that you should learn a good discipline with your firearm and really learn those 4 safety rules, which is why you need professional training as a newer shooter, why you have to come and take classes from people like us. Our Pistol .5 class is perfect for that, right? So for people that want to go a little bit beyond, like our Pistol Zero is real basic, right? It's the NRA class. That is going to teach you how to tear down your gun and how to clean it and all this different shit that a lot of people are like, listen, I just want to learn how to use the damn thing so that way I can be adequate for self-defense. And so that's where we come into that Pistol .5. I will tell you from experience that most people leaving a 4-hour Pistol .5 class that have had no experience are not ready to actually carry a gun or really effectively use a gun in their home. They really need some more training and some more practice. So keep that in mind. But the simple fact is that in my eyes, for self-defense, a pistol is better than a shotgun or a rifle for a newer shooter. More experienced shooters, game changes a little bit. So this is not a universal rule for everybody, but it certainly is pretty universal for newer shooters. Pistols are far easier. Now, They're a little bit more dangerous because you can mess up a lot more with a pistol. It's a lot easier for a toddler to get a hold of a pistol and shoot themselves or shoot their brother and sister with it than it is for them to get a hold of a rifle and do that. I'm not saying that it can't be done, but it's just easier, right? Because they're smaller. They can point them at themselves with their finger on the trigger and things like that. And so you do have to be a little bit more cognizant of the safety issues with it. Again, there's no kind of universal way to do this without being in somewhat of a risk, right? If we don't abide by those safety rules. So we have to make sure that we keep those safety rules and that we train our house. And so I recommend, especially to our newer shooters, get your first gun, you immediately get a lockbox for that gun, right? If you don't have a lockbox for it, you're making a huge mistake. That gun is either on you or in the lockbox, and until your family is trained as well. So we recommend pistols for the first time user, right? I think pistols are a better option for that reason. If you don't believe me, I want you to take a 7-pound broomstick, right? Or a piece of a log or something like that, right? Walk around your house, try to maneuver it around corners and stuff, try to open doors, try to grab your kids out of the way, and try to get your car keys, try to hold somebody down on the ground and then try to actually put handcuffs on them, right? They take some experience in setting these up. This is why home defense guns should always have a sling, right? But if you don't have the experience to know to do that, then you're not going to put those slings on there. And so long rifles and shotguns are great for home defense. I don't particularly like long rifles, but shotguns specifically are great for home defense. But the simple fact is they require a lot more training, okay? And not saying that you shouldn't get training with your pistol, because there's going to be somebody out there say, well, you should go get training before you're going to do a pistol. Obviously, I'm a trainer. I advocate for you guys getting training. But the simple fact is that they require less to use effectively and efficiently than a shotgun or a rifle does. And so we generally advocate people's first firearm be a pistol. Okay. Now, what caliber should I get that pistol in? Well, James Yeager said it best. It should be a 9mm, 9mm, or 9mm, right? There's really no debate on this anymore. I know there's some 45 guys and some 40 guys still out there, and that's fine as long as you can run your gun. Nobody cares. Use your 45s and 40. They're still adequate self-defense calibers. But 9mm, again, is easier for newer shooters. It holds more rounds in it. You have less recoil, which means faster follow-up shots. And the terminal ballistics are generally considered to be superior to 40 and 45 caliber on a human target, because if we're expending a bunch of energy as that 40 caliber blows through the backside of the target, then that energy is wasted energy. 9mm tends to dissolve all of its energy inside the target, creating a higher level of hydrostatic pressure inside that body, meaning more effects of incapacitation. That's the thing we're looking for. We're looking for a round that incapacitates, not that is lethal. I don't care about lethality. I care about the ability to incapacitate that person. Putting the most muzzle energy into them may not kill them, but it has the greatest benefits of incapacitation to that body. So that's what I'm trying to do. And so we do 9mm pistols for self-defense. Now, what size pistol should you get? There's a lot of different sizes out there. There's duty size, which is what you see your law enforcement wearing. There's compact, which is what you would see like a detective, a plainclothes detective wearing, right? They're going to wear something more like a Glock 19 versus their duty counterparts that are uniformed police officers are going to be using like a Glock 17 or a Glock 34 even, which are competition size pistols. Glock 34s are like that big. They're competition size pistols. Here is my rule for this. I like compact and below. I do not like full-size guns. I use compact and below in competition, even in divisions where I can use a competition-size gun or a full-size gun, because the simple fact is that sure, do you gain some benefits of the length of that gun? Absolutely, right? You're going to gain some distance, some feet per second. You're going to have a longer sight radius, so your accuracy is going to be a little bit better for those further shots. The problem is that further sight radius also creates a problem in competition, right, and forces you to slow down. That same problem actually comes into self-defense a lot, right? Because if I have to slow down, that long shot is not as big of a deal in self-defense as it is in like a bullseye competition, which I don't do. I'm not an advocate for bullseye competition. I am an advocate for good competition that promotes self-defense skills. That's why we focus on self-defense firearms in there. Even overseas, I carried a compact gun. Even now, doing private security and contracts and high-risk contracting, I use a compact-sized gun. Actually, I use this gun a lot, but a compact-sized gun, this is technically a subcompact, though it fits more in the box of a compact-sized gun. But the simple fact is that compacts and subcompacts are a little bit better suited for the average citizen out there, because it will give you a gun that you can now carry, that you can still have a full-size or reasonably full-size pistol for self-defense at the house, right? The modern round capacities of these, again, this is a compact, or technically a subcompact gun, even though I got it 365, fits kind of both boxes and falls in between, but it's technically a subcompact size gun, although let me back up there, because I know that SIG now considers the X Macro a compact size gun. So again, there's some nuances there with different firearms, but generally the SIG 365 series, when it first came out, was considered a subcompact gun. But this gun carries a 17 round magazine, right? So this gun has a magazine capacity of a full-size pistol in this size gun. That's a huge advantage for conceal and carry. You can buy larger magazines for it that would extend out the bottom that you could use at your house, right? So if you wanted to have a self-defense gun at home and weren't intending on carrying it, that fits a lot of the bills. And so I really, really like pistols for self-defense. I like compact and subcompact guns. I don't like pocket rockets or the super compact guns, right? Like the Ruger LCPs and stuff like that. They're hard to shoot. They're inaccurate. They're difficult to manipulate when you have issues with them. And so I really don't advise those for newer shooters, but even for experienced shooters, I don't advise those. And I don't advise that people use snub-nose revolvers, because snub-nose revolvers run into the same issue. If you are not used to shooting, pulling a fucking 10-pound trigger pull is difficult, right? They're inaccurate. They struggle to make those long distance shots. Can I go out at 50 yards and put a shot on a target with a 2-inch revolver? Sure, right? We've done it before in classes just to see if it could be done, and it absolutely can be done. But it's a lot harder than it is with like a Glock 19 or even a Glock 17 or even a Glock 26. But it's a substantially harder shot to do because of that long trigger pull. You have to really, really focus on not moving your hand and just squeezing that trigger. And most newer shooters cannot do that. Most newer shooters we see out at the range struggle to hit a target at 10 yards with a snub-nose revolver. So do not go out and buy a snub-nose revolver. Revolvers are also harder to use. And you say, well, all you got to do is pull the trigger. What do you mean by that? Try to reload one. Try to teach people how to reload one. They struggle with that. They struggle with that a lot more than they do by putting a magazine in the bottom and racking a slide. That is relatively easy compared to open the cylinder, turn it upside down, press the crane, dump them, or the rod, press the crane rod, dump the magazines out, and the bullets out, the spent casing out. Put those 5 bullets in there one at a time, or with a speed loader. Then you got to twist the speed loader or pull the speed loader. All the different ways those speed loaders work. You guys can tell I'm not a revolver shooter. I don't like them as a general rule. It's not that I think revolvers are antiquated. I do have several revolvers that I use occasionally for very, very specific purposes. Okay, but the simple fact is that for an all-day, all-around, everyday gun, a revolver is not the choice. It needs to be a semi-automatic in compact or a subcompact design, so that your Glock 26, your Glock 19, your P365 series, M&P compact series, right? All those type of guns, those are the firearms that you're looking at for a self-defense firearm for your house, for you to carry on your person. Another reason that we like pistols is because the simple fact is that if you go buy a shotgun and you decide one day, hey, I want to carry because things have gotten bad, there's terrorist attacks around, whatever it is, and now I'm feeling a little bit less comfortable going out and I want to carry, well, you can't carry that shotgun out, but you can carry a P365 or a subcompact pistol or a compact pistol, right? You can even carry a full-size pistol if you really have to, but you can't do that with a rifle or a shotgun. It takes that out of the equation for you. It holds true even in disaster zones, right? Hurricane Katrina comes through, maybe you didn't carry beforehand, but now you want to carry after that because you're still living in this kind of mess of a disaster zone. Well, the ability to carry a shotgun or a rifle outside is a little bit harder, right? And people think, well, I'm going to throw on my full body armor and my kit and I'm going to walk around with a rifle. Bullshit. It just doesn't really happen. Sure, I got it. There's some weird examples out there when Katrina hit that it did happen. But for the most part, people are rocking conceal and carry firearms, which means pistols. So we're a big advocate for pistols being your first time gun. And as you can tell, to me, the 365X Macro fits a lot of bills. The reason we recommend the 365X Macro to all of our newer shooters is I should say a number of reasons. First off, it's simple to operate, right? You have a trigger, you have a slide release. That's basically it, right? We obviously have our magazine release button and our takedown lever, but even taking this gun down is substantially easier than a Glock, right? A Glock, I have to pull the thing down, the little takedown lever. I got to slide my slide back. I got to pull the trigger all at the same time. It's not that that's hard. but it's hard to teach newer shooters to do that when they're already dealing with so much going on in their head. This is a lot easier. I lock the slide back and I flip the takedown lever down. My gun's apart, right? So it's a fairly simple process. It's also nice to shoot, right? We have a reasonable sized gun that fits most people's hands, are not going to be hanging off the bottom of it, right? I can get a full two-handed grip on this gun. I have very minimal felt recoil. It allows me to put an optic on the top if I can, but that felt recoil goes down because I can get a full two-hand grip on here. I have the compensator on the front. I already have good sights on here instead of those shitty factory sights that Glock uses, those plastic ones that Glock uses that now I have to convince a student, hey, you got to go tap those out, pay $100 and get a new set of sights put in there. You don't have to worry about that with this. It's already set up really well for that. It also has a higher magazine capacity than any of the competing size pistols out there on the market, right? 17-round magazine in this size gun. The next closest that you're going to get is about a 15-round magazine. So that means 15 plus 1. Now they get 16 rounds, I get 18 rounds. So I get 2 extra bullets. That may be the difference that I need in order to sustain a fight, right? Or to win a fight, should it go to that many rounds, which, despite what the myths out there say, does happen. Civilian gunfights do go to those higher round counts. There's plenty of anecdotal examples of ones going 20, 22, 28 rounds. And so this takes it out of the equation. This gun simply is good out of the box, takes very little maintenance. Same thing as a Glock, right? Glocks don't require much maintenance. A lot of striker fire pistols don't require much maintenance. This falls right in line with that. There's very little maintenance. I like the 365X Macro. That is the gun that I recommend to all my first-time shooters. Hey, you're going to go get your very first firearm. Get this one. Start with this one. Now, here's the rule with your first gun. People that are very meticulous about their spending habits do not like to go buy a gun without researching it. They want to make sure that whatever I get is the perfect gun, right? The first-time purchase is perfect. The simple fact is that that's not going to work very well, because you may buy this gun and you may decide it's not for me. For whatever reasons, you may decide it's not for you, and that's perfectly fine. Here's the reality. Anybody play an instrument out there, right? You play guitar, piano, whatever. You can do as much research as you want, but before you know how to play a guitar or a piano, you cannot go buy the perfect guitar or piano that you need in order to advance your career field in that, in order to be successfully set up. You can do a bunch of research and get close, but you're never going to find exactly what you want. Most of us that have played an instrument probably, right? I'm a percussionist. I grew up playing drums. Most of us that have played an instrument probably realized after a couple of years of playing that that's not the one I want. I want something a little bit nicer, a little bit better. So this doesn't break the bank. This is not the gun that I carry all the time. I carry nicer guns, but the simple fact is that this is a very good gun, especially for those newer shooters. It's a $700 gun, so you're not breaking the bank with a $1,500 gun. A Beretta, a CZ, a Wilson Combat, whatever, that's going to run you $3,000. They're at the latter end of that, right? We're not breaking the bank with it. And then we can see from there, hey, do I really want to continue down this path, or do I have the one gun that does what I need it to do, right? Because all I care about is just keeping my family safe and having a gun around the house to make sure that we can deal with an intruder in the night, or deal with a rough situation as it arises. So I really like the 365X Macro for that reason. Guys, I want to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you jumping into this video with me. Hopefully these videos are helping you, these Gun 101 videos. These are a lot of the questions that we get when we're teaching classes that I want to bring up to you guys in here. So if you have any discussions you would like us to have on this Gun 101 part, right? Any questions that you have that you need answers to, please post them in the comments. Send us an email, right? tssacademy@protonmail.com. You can send us an email anytime you want. We're happy to discuss this with you and to post a video on that topic. So thanks again for watching, y'all. I really appreciate it.